I think, RC compoundings and what I think our philosophy is towards this notion of fighting is maybe standing your ground when, when you think it's appropriate. This is a vial of progesterone. It's a 5 cc vial of progesterone. We've been compounding for, I don't know, a couple of years. It's one of the easiest compounds that I make. It's 250 milligram per ml. It's a 5 cc vial. It's in benzoate, benzyl alcohol to preserve it. Well, this past spring we got word from an OBGYN's office that a drug was coming out on the market, identical, and right down to the point something percent of preservatives, and identical. The cost per vial was $7,500. I'm currently selling this, and have been, for $20. If something is available commercially, then I can't make it anymore. So if I'm compounding something, as long as a drug company doesn't come out with their version of it and do all the studies and the research and bring something to market, then we're free, physicians are free to use their best judgment to determine whether or not this is something that should be allowed. Well, progesterone, you can't really patent progesterone per se because it's a naturally occurring hormone, like estrogen, like testosterone, it's something that you produce. So some of the research that I want to go over tonight, where the females are concerned, there's really only one study that I want to show you. But this drug company here, actually when they came out and set this $7,500 per vial cost, used the data that the National Institute of Health had funded, our taxpayer dollars had funded. And my notion was very quick. I didn't care what the FDA said. I didn't care what the State Board of Pharmacy said. I sent a letter to, an email to our State Board inspector. I'm going to continue to compound it. If you want to come in here and you want to look and close me down, I'll take a stand. If I can get some people that understand this, especially when you understand how important progesterone is, for somebody to claim that all of a sudden you can justify $7,500 a vial. And that's a stand that we took. I notified the OBGYNs, continue to send your scripts over. Well, OBGYNs, everybody was upset. Before you know it, the FDA took a position that the Food and Drug Administration does not take. And that was, they considered the cost. Up till now, it doesn't matter if it's, they considered the cost, they reversed their position, and now they're going to allow us compounding pharmacies to continue to make 17p. What did the drug company do in response to that? Well, let's lower the cost. So they did, $3,750. Yeah. So this is why I'm saying I don't want to get political, because sometimes I don't know whether I'm Democratic or Republican or independent or what. But there are just certain instances that pop up that we as a community have to understand. And that we as a community cannot be so apathetic with what we're doing that we can allow whatever fine print, the rules and regulations and laws that have passed through committee and House caucuses and went before that have allowed something so simple and inexpensive. I practically give progesterone away in my pharmacy, that and testosterone. I believe in it so much. To allow a drug to come out at $7,500 a vial when there was no investment in the research in it. And I promised my wife I wouldn't talk about the economy, but you have to understand, just like former Congressman Jim Traficant has spoken about over the years, and he does have a book out now, and if you have an opportunity to get his book and to read it, it's a compilation of what he has said on the House floor. Back in 1990, he looked at the budget deficit and how little we're cutting away, and if you look at Senate Bill 5 that everybody's up in arms about, should you have the right to bargain, should the government have the, what's it matter? If the government's going to allow $7,500, if a union's going to allow $7,500 a vial, it takes 5 vials of these to complete a therapy for a pregnant female. This protects the pregnancy of a female. So it takes 5 or 6 vials of this at $7,500 a vial. That's a full-time police officer. That's a full-time fireman. It doesn't matter if you have a union. If the union is going to represent you enough to look and say, this can't be allowed, then I'm for the unions. If the government looks at this and says, we'll never allow a bill to be passed that allows a drug company to put, then I'm for the government, if that's the opinion. But I think the people, and what I hopefully can explain tonight, is the mindset that sometimes what you think is appropriate, obviously is not. So the Fight Like a Girl, we fought on this progesterone, and we ended up coming out in the good for it. The public did. The $630 billion or $630 million that we're spending looking for a cure, we haven't found one yet for breast cancer. That's not to say, and I'm sorry, but I forgot the stack of research papers that I've been reading over and looking at. If anybody is interested, it's all in a file. I've collected them all together. I'll shoot you the email to show you some of the things at $630 million. It's not always a pill that's going to be able to solve the issue. Cancer is very difficult to solve. It's your own cell. It's your own cell that is freaked out and gone wild, and it's lost its ability to control its own division. Well, how do you get rid of something that's part of you? That's what the issue is. So if you think that all the money that we're spending is going to give you a pill that's going to eventually clear up your prostate cancer, clear up your breast cancer, it's not so difficult. Why did that cell start to freak out? What is it that stimulated? What we have to look at in terms of why these rates are going up is the cause. What is it about our society that is increasing these rates of breast cancer? As much as I did not want to show this, and I did not want to put this up on the board, because it is complicated. But I wanted to break it down simply to make you understand in a molecular sense what it is that we're talking about with what it is. And I don't think you can see this up here. But it's a breakdown of how your body takes a simple compound called cholesterol and then turns it into the hormones, okay? It all starts with cholesterol. That big bad molecule that everybody fears in their blood. You deplete that too much, you're depleting the starting chain of what it is that leads to the rest of your hormones. So, the same with LDL and HDL, okay? I'm talking about the mindsets of what you think is good and bad. When I see labs, I'm not that fearful of cholesterol. LDL, HDL, kind of the same. It's processed sugars. That's an emesis for clogging up stuff. But HDL, it is so difficult for the body to make a molecule of cholesterol. It takes so much energy to manufacture a molecule of cholesterol that your body is very stingy with it. So it takes it, and because it doesn't dissolve in water, the body has to carry it using, Lauren, what was it? HDL carries it away from the liver, releases it to, cholesterol is what you need when you've damaged something, you've injured something. A cell needs to be replaced, needs to be repaired. Cholesterol is the cell membrane building block for that. The body's real stingy with it. If the cell doesn't end up using it, LDL grabs onto it and protects it and carries it back so it doesn't get wasted, okay? Part of the, I could go into this in depth as much as a lot of other things, but the notion here is we have access to a lot of information now. Get on YouTube, get on the internet, Google some of this stuff, and learn what cardiologists are starting to see about the role of cholesterol. But if I were to, and I was trying to think of how I could explain this chart in a way that you understood how things kind of flowed. I really don't think, I think I've come up with a good way, but cholesterol gets turned into this prohormone called pregnenolone. It's the most abundant hormone that you have in your body because it is the starting point at which if the body takes and cleaves a little atom off of it, it turns into progesterone. If it doesn't want to do that, if maybe a guy is low in testosterone, it will take it a whole different route and take it down and turn it into an androgen steroid. Okay, but it starts with pregnenolone, moves to progesterone. A lot of the compounds here have no activity at all. Some, in the middle of some of this process, has an activity. So the cholesterol to pregnenolone, pregnenolone to progesterone, and that's the one that I want to focus on tonight with the females.